Our third wonderful guest is Collette. Crystal served as the director for the Lewis County Office for the Aging through challenging times of the COVID pandemic. She was then offered the position as Assistant Director of Special Projects at the state level, where she worked until she was recently hired as the CEO of Planned Parenthood of the North Country, New York. I'd like to say proudly that I am board chair of PPNCNY, and it was a thrill to interview her, to talk to her, to learn more about her. She's brilliant, she's lovely, and I'm really happy she's going to talk to you today.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. And I've been sitting here thinking about what I'm going to talk to you all about, because I didn't prepare like formal remarks for you all. But I do just want to say that for me, this is so healing. And I bet others feel the same too. It's so awesome to be here together on this beautiful evening in our adorable, tight-knit little town of Lowville in this beautiful county, and to be supporting each other and to be joining in community and thinking about and reminding ourselves how we want our country to look, right? I know my husband Daniel and I have many conversations. We had a big old one today as we were driving across the beautiful North Country about how to take care of ourselves and how to be okay. It's hard. And I think this is how to be okay, right? To come together. We have to come together and stick together and share our voices and share our ideas. And so I want to talk to you about a healthcare story that I had. And I know that there's probably many other people looking at me today that have the same or similar story. Think of the people in your life that you love. I bet you'll hear elements of my story through your care and attention to them. And then I'll tell you a little bit about Planned Parenthood of the North Country and where we're at this moment. So I was like this young, little country girl from Massachusetts who had grown up going to church and riding horses and going to 4-H. But I knew I had to get away. I had to get away from my family to really understand who I was. So I took the big, bold risk of going to Syracuse University to get my master's in social work. And it was one of the best things I ever did. And I moved to Syracuse, and I had been a waitress all through college, so I got myself a waitressing job, and I had no money. So what did I do? Got Medicaid, right? Needed Medicaid to get through grad school. And good thing I had that Medicaid, because there was a moment in my experience, I was 23 years old, where I really needed that Medicaid. I really needed health care. So I walked down the hill to Planned Parenthood. And like so many other people, 1 in 3 people in our nation, I received health care on a morning that I needed it more than I had ever needed it in my entire life. And I firmly believe that changed my life. And I know that, like I said, that many of you share my story. When I have the honor now of speaking to groups, every single time people come up to me and they're shaking like I am now, and they look at me and they grab me and they tell me their Planned Parenthood story about the time they took their sister, the time they themselves walked through the doors because they needed care. But the truth is that most people who walk through Planned Parenthood's doors are coming to access birth control services, for STI testing and treatment, for primary care services, for just regular run-of-the-mill health care. But every single day, people walk through our doors that need us more than ever, and we change lives. And I am really proud of that. And like Chris said, because I'm brand new, I've embarked on this adventure of talking to every single one of our staff people across the North Country. So we have 7 health clinics from Lowville and Watertown all the way up to Plattsburgh. And I did the math because of efficacy. And the math is that 78% of our staff work at Planned Parenthood because they've been patients and they've received our care. And so that's another thing that I'm really proud of. And the worst part of the big, horrible, awful bill that our government is debating right now in Washington, well, there's no way to pick a worst part, but one of the most awful parts is that yet again, for I think it's the sixth time in the last 20 years, our government's threatening to defund Planned Parenthood from Medicaid, right? So last year, Planned Parenthood in the North Country, about half of our patients utilized Medicaid for their services. Great idea. Defund Planned Parenthood from Medicaid, an organization that does more than any other organization across our nation to prevent pregnancy, to provide preventative care, to keep young people healthy. I think of what that would do in the North Country to our small rural health systems, right? Like our hospital here in Lowville. Imagine if people were walking into Lowville emergency room for their STI treatment. Or imagine what could happen to our barely, reviving itself maternity division if half of our community found themselves pregnant and that wasn't their plan. I know this is common sense. I don't need to explain it to you, right? We know we need preventative health care, and we know that especially in rural communities, we need Medicaid. The good news that I shared in Watertown this morning is that just this week, all of the Planned Parenthood CEOs from the North Country got word from the governor's office, the governor that we all work to elect here in New York, right? Who's supported by our legislature that we all work to elect, that they're making plans to stand by us. So if our federal government defunds Planned Parenthood and defunds Medicaid, amidst all of the challenges that New York is facing, they will make sure that we are held whole. But I talked to a young woman at the rally today who told me that 2 years ago, she traveled from Alabama to New York to receive care. So how's that going to work when people from all over the country are traveling to our state as a sanctuary state to receive care? This is not the country we want. I know that. And I'm proud to live in New York. I'm proud that we have that Prop 1 that we all voted for last year enshrined folks who are transgenders access to health care that, again, that big, horrible, awful bill is threatening to strip. The bill is threatening to kick transgender folks and their needs for health care out of our healthcare system. But again, I was thinking about the ways that if New York State has to step up to that degree, our calculation is it's somewhere between $25 and $35 million New York will have to chip in if our federal contributions to sexual and reproductive health care end. Think of what else we could do in New York with $25 to $35 million, right? We could do all kinds of amazing things. It makes me so angry. And we have this wannabe dictator in Washington making these decisions and puppeting all these people around him. And that's why we're here tonight. That's what we're thinking about together. How can we, Daniel and I have been talking about my father, his family, who we know voted for Trump and this current administration. How do we start all those conversations that we haven't been starting? Because now, I think you're right, we are at war. How do I make sure that I'm brave enough to ask my dad, is this what you wanted, Dad? Is this what you wanted? And how are you going to vote next time? I feel like it's the only way, but it's hard and it's scary. And I guess that's why we come together like this. I don't have too much more to say other than I really want to thank Chris for serving as our board chair. And the next speaker that you're going to get to hear from, Beth Linderman's also a member of our board. We have several other Lewis County folks who I know some of you know and love, Anna Plotz and Kelly Hoxley, who are also on our board, and an amazing, talented board from all across the North Country. And so if you're interested in supporting our organization, whether through your activism, with your dollars, with your time, with your private health insurance, come to us. We'll be there to help you feel like you're part of the movement. And thank you so much for coming tonight and for hearing my story and for fighting.